Talk about crypto punks.
Nice.
Anything. All right. So Luca Nation, this 10 for 10 has completely exceeded expectations because all I wanted to do was kind of carry on the momentum from national to our audience here digitally, virtually, people in Australia, double coverage. Thank you for giving me the lemon of the week. Our friends in UK, our friends in the USA who weren't with us at national. So I wanted to kind of extend that excitement that we all felt that week. And I can't think of a better guest to have on. This is someone I interacted with a little bit at the show, interacted with a little bit at the Only Alt event, which was super fun. And this is someone that's kind of quickly emerged as a big time player in the hobby. And if I could start here, I'm curious your background, Leore. So like, how did you find yourself getting, on the call sheet of all the biggest cards? Anytime anyone wants to sell $1 million card or more, they give Leore a call. So how did that happen?
Ooh. Well, I've been doing cards for a while. Well, not as long as everybody else has, but at least in my world for a while. I started in 2016, and I think I just quickly figured out what were the best cards. And I feel like I'm everybody else. Like everyone thinks like, oh, like I started buying off like, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cards. I started with like flipping like $5, $10 worth of cards. And I think like I turned, I would say like after the first year, I had around like $30,000, $40,000 worth of cards to upwards of $10 million and over a couple of years. And so I think that I started going from the lower to the mid end to the high end. And I think I built up the network in that space. And now I just love, for me, buying the best of the best. So took some time to get there.
All right, so I'd have to ask because Luca Nation's listening to this, and they're saying 30,000 to 10 million. All right, so there has to be some monumental flips in there. There have to be some monumental purchases. Otherwise, it just doesn't really make much sense. So what were a couple of
market value? It's not realized value. A lot of it I actually haven't sold. So how did I get? How did I get the big cards?
Yep.
I through and through am a data-driven person. Man, I wish I can show you guys my spreadsheet. I have a spreadsheet of every single transaction that I have done since 2016. And I made a ton of mistakes. I literally color coded it. Like if I made money, it was green. If I lost money, if it was red, if I broke even, it was orange. And you start going through the transaction, it's like red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 red. And then over time, I started getting smarter. I started figuring out what are the actual dynamics of the market? How do you make money? How do you lose money? And I had a couple of different strategies, and I started figuring out what was the ROI on this strategy and that strategy. So I just chased numbers, and through that, I just became a more intelligent investor and trader of cards over time.
Chasing numbers would imply to me that there's a little emotion out of it, right? That you're not getting attached to the card, that you buy something at X amount and you have an exit already put in, because that's what chasing numbers mean. Is that what you mean by that?
When I say chasing numbers, I'm looking at the data and I'm learning. And so when I came into sports card world, I knew nothing, right? I didn't know if a PSA 10 should I hold a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 or a BGS 9.5, or, if I have $1,000, how should I invest that? If I want to buy a LeBron James Topps Chrome rookie card, right? Which one should I be buying? And so I looked over time and I said, what are the best things to buy? And one of the things that I personally proved, I think a lot of people wrong, and I think it's one of the biggest debates in the hobby. What is the first type of card that everyone tries to buy when you think of a player? The rookie card, right?
Right.
And my thing with Kobe is I proved that the best Kobe Bryant cards were not the rookie cards. And so in 2018, and Chris Jackson will tell you this story because he passed on the opportunity. I had a PSA 10 of almost every single Kobe Bryant card. I had 42 PSA 10 Topps Chrome Kobe rookie cards. I had around 60 PSA 10 Topps. I had around 65 Bowman's Best. I thought the rookie cards were the best. And I sold them all. I actually sold a couple for a loss. And I started buying super fractors, the 1 out of 5s, the gold refractors, like the rare stuff is where all the money is going to be at. And so I literally sold all those rookies for a loss. And that's where I made a lot of my money in cards, is by buying up what I call like the exclusive supply, the best of the best.
And that doesn't have to be rookies. So, right, like the 1 out of 5s, the super fractors, You sold Kobe rookies to level up or color up to the superfractors, and your data, your numbers showed that those cards have higher returns. And did you test that? And I'm curious, does that apply to Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, or does each player is this player specific?
Yeah, it's era specific. That's the really interesting part. And what I mean by era specific, and I feel like in the hobby, we need to start giving names to different eras. Like we don't have that yet. We have modern.
Name them. Give me the 80s. Give me the 90s. Give me the 2000s.
Okay,
he might not break it down like that, Cage.
I still have been working on some names. Okay, so we got the junk wax era, because I feel like that's all bucketed into one thing. I think the 90s are called the 90s. Right? we don't
get original. I love it.
I call the 90s. There needs to be a name for stuff between like 2000 to like early 2000 and up till 2009. Like from LeBron James rookie year to like the end of the Topps Chrome era. That's a name that is missing. For those of you out there, if you have a good name, contact me. Love talking about this stuff. And then 2009 to 2012 is like a weird year. And then 2012 beyond is modern.
The David Stern era. The David Stern era.
Listen, the 2012 and beyond is got to be known as the Prism era.
Yeah, modern Prism era. I mean, you also got National Treasures. But what do you call like?
But Treasures started before that, though, right?
What is 2009? Like Steph Curry. What era is that?
Well, it's pre-Prism, but National Treasures were there. That's why
okay,
the
so
bright
2008. 2008.
Oh, 8. I don't know. What do we call the Dark Ages? I don't know what you're gonna call that, right? The horrible rookie class. I mean, like, what do you call 08? Yeah, I mean, that's right. You got to come up with like a, like some sort of like bronze LeBron and nothing else. Basically,
we're gonna work
on this.
We're gonna create the content, teaching people how to name the eras of cards.
I like this.
So in the 90s, let me just digest that. So let's use Shaq. In the 90s, Shaq, like his rookie cards, aren't the place to invest. It's actually lower 100%. Pop versions of Shaq.
Yeah. So what is the most expensive Kobe rookie card? What is the most expensive Shaq card? It's not their rookie cards. And that's because those rookie cards did not have parallels, right? Which came out in the modern era. So in non-modern era stuff, rookie cards are actually devalued. If that makes sense. Even Michael Jordan's best cards are not his 1986 rookie card, right? However, once you go into the modern era, their rookie cards are the best cards because there's a 1-of-1. That 1-of-1 is the first edition and it has the rarity. It is going to be the best card going forward. The Logo Man 1-of-1 and the Black Prism, until like the era changes and card dynamics change, is going to be the best card. So that's the dynamic that I realized early on, was that there's a difference between the modern era and the 90s. And so in the 90s, goodbye Kobe Bryant, Topps Chrome PSA 10. Hello, red PMG, green PMG, legacy, credentials, Topps Chrome, black refractors, gold refractors, blue X fractors, super fractors. And so that's where I ended up spending the most money and kind of investing in.
So, Cage, I'm curious your take, because you have this baffled look on you. But I'll tell you guys, this is what makes this show amazing. And this is exactly what I wanted, because we've had Ken Golden on. We're going to have Carvin, the creator of Exquisite, on. We had Jesse from PwC, Coffee Breakers. My goal with this show, with this 10 for 10, was to bring you guys that know their stuff in the hobby and help you guys in the community. I would go back and re-listen to those first 8 minutes, because there's a ton of education, a ton of value.
I guess I wonder, Leore, if it's successful because of all the big money people that have come in the hobby in the last couple of years. And I wonder if you kind of caught lightning in a bottle there, right? That the only reason why those high-end, low-number, low-pop cards are because there's people in here now. You don't need that many who come in and are willing to spend a lot of money. If we didn't have that kind of change in the spend, let's call it, right? These big whales, for lack of a better way to say it, come in, you might have been better off with those, the rookie cards, the base cards, because there's nobody to spend millions of dollars like you.
Well,
is it a chicken or an egg kind of thing?
It's not. I actually think it's pretty. If people are going to spend money, they have to choose. So you have to ask, why did they choose the rare stuff? Why didn't they choose the PSA top 10 Topps Chrome? And I think it's not rare, right? Like when you look at like economics, supply and demand, the cards that I'm talking about have a fixed supply. And so when the demand increases, the price increases. The issue is for those, Topps Chrome PSA 10, there were 788 of them. They actually weren't that rare, right? And not only that, but there's a bunch of the PSA 9s and the PSA 8s. So if I'm somebody who's getting into the hobby and I want something rare, I'm not really getting something that's rare, right? It's not even in a rare condition. Like a PSA 10, there's 788. I have a card that anyone can have, right? And so I want something that no one else can have. I want a PMG green. There's 10 of them, right? Or I want one of those rookie credentials. There's only 500 of them. There's only, what is it now? Pop 7 PSA 10. And so I think people got smart, right? And so when money came in, it was smart money. It wasn't necessarily dumb money. They're like, I want something special. And so I think I call it like pop adjusted rarity. You have to look at the actual rarity and the pop. And so just because it's a PSA 10 rookie does not mean it's rare.
Yeah,
I'm asking you guys what do you guys collect in the 90s? Give me a player.
I'm a Jordan collector.
I made my money on Kobe rookies, but buying them and grading them.
We're going to try it on Cage. Would you rather have a 1986 PSA 10 or a red PMG?
That's close. That's actually close. It depends on the look of the Jordan. Now you go green, it's easy. Red is close. It's funny.
Okay, but green, you're already you're saying green is better than the rookie.
Of course.
Right?
Of course, because it's scarcity.
And so, okay, now let's do it. Let's go through the top 10 Jordan cards. What number is the PSA 10 rookie? Does it make the top 10 even?
I put it in the top 10. But value-wise, if we're just doing math on the value-wise, there are probably one-of-one Jordan cards that people will pay more for. I get what you're saying. I guess what my question was, the nuance, the layer in the question is this. If you came into this hobby, market, whatever you want to call it, 5 years ago, you could buy any of these things for a song, right? You just could, right? Because there was not this influx of money. Part of what validates your theory about the rarity is that there is somebody with a deep enough pocket to shell out those. And there's enough people that if something's only 5, 7, 10, now these whales are fighting over it. Those whales weren't there 5 years from now. I guess my concern.
I would challenge you 10 years ago. Let's find some people in the hobby that were there. Which one did they want to buy? The PSA 10 or these? I think they were fighting over the rare stuff even before.
Yeah, but not for the prices. You know what I mean? Not for the prices. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, look at the modern market now. Like, you talk about record sales. There were no records for modern cars. Now it's like every week there's another modern card record. And I guess what my concern is, and look, listen, I think we are moving in the right direction with this stuff because, look, we talk about it. We got these prices going up, and there's not enough to go around, and we're going to fractionalize these things. We're going to create a fund like you have. And that is the next logical progression so that you don't have to be a whale to still get these pieces. And that it's very smart.
Yeah.
But I guess what my thought is, everybody's always seeking alpha. Everybody's always chasing that profit, right? So if 5 years ago that money was there, 5 years from now, what if it's not? I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to be. I mean,
so here's what I will tell you. It's going to be there in 5 years. Here's the part that I think I like putting out predictions there. The numbered prisms of rookie cards. Let's take the reds out of $299.
$299, yep.
Reds are affordable still, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In 5 years, the reds will not be affordable anymore.
Okay.
And I would say that, I mean, think about it. Some of these, like, let's take the orange prisms. There's 60 of these. 60. How many people are coming into this hobby? And if you can get an orange prism for under $1,000 for a player that is going to be in the future of the NBA Hall of Famer, that is an instant buy right now.
But Leore, so walk me through it, right? So the asshole in me, the cage in me, because that's my role, is going to say, yeah, that orange is out of 60, right? But the gold is out of 10. The black gold is out of 5. That's 15. The orange is out of 60, sometimes 49, depending upon the sport and depending upon the year and the whole 9 yards. But now we're starting to tack those on. And then you got a purple out of 75. You got a blue ice out of 99. You got a purple ice out of 149. You got a blue out of 199. You got a red out of 299. You got a green pulsar out of 25. You got a pink pulsar out of 42. You got the disco mosaic versions, depending on what year you're in. You got the circles. You name it. Now, all of a sudden, you just took a card where there's going to be 60 this Hall of Famer, but now we got thousands.
I was impressed by Cage there, too.
I was very impressed. Thousands. Okay. Now, PSA 10s, hundreds.
Correct.
How many people are investing in cards these days? Millions, right? And so you're still you're talking about a small number, right? And those are going to be the ones that are going to be the cream of the crop.
And this is why I'm doing my due diligence on Panini Prism NFTs.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah.
They're pretty rare. They're pretty rare. So, but no, I hear what you're saying. And I mean, listen, it's eye-opening because someone like me, I'm a little older than the folks on this call here, the folks on this episode, you collected as a kid and you bought the rookie card. That was just ingrained in your brain. You want to buy Don Mattingly, you buy Don Mattingly's rookie card. You want to buy Michael Jordan, you buy the rookie card. And I would even say that in some of those guys, the rookie card is still low pop. You talk about Jerry Rice cards, Joe Montana cards. The Jordan is always an easy example to give because there are so many of them. And even 300, when you're talking about, you just did, there's hundreds in PSA 10, and how many millions of people want it. There is supply demand. Best card, though, it's a very interesting thing you're talking about, right? And you really only need, when you're talking about 1-on-1s or out of 5s, and you combine that pop, the actual PSA 10 pop, plus scarcity of a numbered card, you don't need that many people to be fighting over it for all of a sudden the thing to go, hyperbolic, right?
And by the way, we're back to the rookie card being the best thing. It was just that middle era for some reason they didn't have that parallel concept.
Listen, I love 90s inserts more than anybody. Trust me, I'm a 90s inserts guy with Jordan. I think that some of those 90s inserts, they rival some of the, especially when you take the pop into account. You know what I mean? One of my favorites, the Power and the Key, has 40-something PSA 10s. It's a hard
where
card.
Like your market dynamics and just look. That was like the Renaissance period. It's like they did something different back then. There were all these brands. We don't have, it was Topps for the longest time, whatever this era is, the 90s era. And then we went to the Panini Prism era, right?
Yep.
That era in the middle is really interesting. And so when people, I think it takes a couple of years for people to get into it because you immediately go to like Prism and rookie cards. This is a special era. I mean, the designs were special. And so I actually think those cards, because of the uniqueness of that era and it not being associated with the rookie years, those are always going to do really well. So I'm a big 90s serial numbered guy. I always chase the PSA 10 when I can find one.
You just brought up market dynamics. So something that we talk about with our audience is whenever there's these like new projects, new companies, new startups, most of them charge you nothing to go sign up. So go sign up and see. And I think what's cool with new companies, Top Shot had this. You get to see market dynamics kind of play out in front of your eyes in like this really interesting way. And Cage, like we're doing that with Panini NFTs, right? So we've disclosed that we've been transparent.
We both mentioned it now.
But think about that, Cage.
Go ahead.
Think about that. So what's the most valuable card right now? Or what's the most valuable player?
In all of sports?
No. This is a question, Cage. I'm sorry. From the Panini and LeBron. But it's not LeBron's rookie year. It's actually LaMelo, Edwards, Maxey, Wiseman. I would say except for LaMelo, it goes LeBron, Luka, Zion. So it's interesting to see those market dynamics when you watch them play out in front of your eyes. The audience didn't actually care that it was rookie NFTs. It was just this is our order of players.
Scarcity on the top player, right? You're 100% right.
I was going to dovetail that because my favorite LeBron card, as much as I dislike LeBron, is the 2004 Topps Chrome. I just thought that was more iconic. Yeah, because his rookie card, he misses a shot in preseason. His 2004, which is like a second-year rookie, is him dunking. Do you see like a superfractor of 2004 LeBron? Should that be exactly the same price as like a 2005? Not exactly, but do you see also discrepancy there?
2004 LeBron superfractor sold for $720,000. Man, did I miss that card. It was the first ever superfractor. So what does it say? It rivals which card?
Well, like after rookie year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, sixth year, does it matter? Or is it just
that one matters? That one matters because it's the first superfractor. They didn't have superfractor. That one,
okay.
I think this is the beauty narrative telling. How does narrative telling play a role in this world? Well, it does. Like we have labeled the first of something as something special. We have labeled the jersey number as something special. We have labeled the last of something that has been special. We have like the alternative jersey number. I mean, some of the stories stick. Some of them are a little bit like, you roll your eyes on them. If you can tell a good story on a brand or something, it's going and it takes off, right? That is community building at its best. It's something that people are, that makes sense. It's the first. So the first superfractor is better than the second superfractor. But then the story of a second superfractor versus the third superfractor, I think it starts losing its appeal, right? The first green kaboom, right? Or the first series, all these things, right? Someone starts telling a story and then it just propagates the community. And if it sticks, that increases in its value. But someone's got to start the story too.
Andrew and Cage meeting for the first time in National 2021. And let's see if it sticks.
Kaboom.
But kaboom.
What
I'm
is
curious.
the next type of card that is going to take off and why?
The next like design or style of card?
Style of card.
I hope they bring back Sport Flicks, like a motion card. That's what I like. I hope they bring back something like that, where like there's actual motion built into the card, building on what they did with Top Shot with the moments, building on some activity. You know, there were some weird Panini did these like what they call like THX or some sort of card where there's like a little video clip in it, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be that chunky, you know, of a card, but I'd love to have like a little motion built into the card. That'd be kind of cool. We had it in the '80s in some form, you know, like those, like I said, Sport Flicks cards. You know, so that would be kind of cool to me.
Yeah,
I got one. Topps Dynasty. I was looking at it yesterday. I think it's like I think it's equally as nice as Immaculate for a fraction of the cost, and it's a beautiful card.
All right, now you got to answer.
I think it's nicer than Immaculate. I love Topps Dynasty. I think they're beautiful cards. And I was not into baseball cards until I saw Topps Dynasty, and I was like, you know what? This might be my first baseball card purchase. I loved what they did with the F1 cards. Very
not bad for being put on the spot. Let's shift.
I want to hear Leore. I want to hear him.
Okay,
he's got to answer his own question. What's going to be next? What's the next kind of card that goes?
That's already in market, or that I think that they're going to create.
You can answer it either way. It's your own question. I'm not going to limit your answer.
I'm like very good at like I need constraints, otherwise I start breaking the rules. What card is going?
I need constraints. How many virtual assistants do you have?
I want an insert. I'm looking for a cool insert. I was wrong on kabooms, man. I can't.
So was I, obviously. If we consider wrong, like I hate kabooms.
Okay,
I still don't
here's
get
what I'm going to put it out there. I might be wrong on this. Color blasts. I think they're going to take off. I think they're going to put serial numbered color blasts. I think we're going to see like a gold version of color blasts come out. I don't know anybody at Panini, just so people know. Never talked to them. I think they're going to come out with serial numbered color blasts, and there's going to be a 1 of 1 and 1 out of 10. And if they do a gold color blast, oh man, I love those cards. The only reason I don't buy them is because they're not serial numbered. I love those cards.
I have a serial number kaboom.
Serial numbered color blast.
Oh, I have a serial number color blast too.
Wait, really? They make them?
Andrew, you want to tell him where I have a serial number color blast?
Oh, he just got it from Panini NFTs. So you do a challenge and you get a Giannis color blast.
At a 69.
Oh, really?
It was actually
it's on their app. Color blast numbered. It was like a challenge reward. They gave it out today. It's funny. It's pretty funny the timing on that. So
can I redeem it for a card?
No. But I mean, you could work on that if you like. you put that in the suggestion box.
Can we talk about that? Because like with more and more services like your company, right? Alt, like I'm at National. I hand over all my cards to your team. Just got to give a shout out to your team. They did an amazing job. The event at Kings with the arcade games, hands down my favorite. I love games, but just you have an amazing team. So you give the cards over to them, right? In 2-3 days, they're already loaded into your profile. How is that really different from an NFT from that point?
It's not. Straight up, it's not. It's the same. If you want my honest truth, it's the same. But it's baby steps. Society is not yet ready to embrace that. And so I think over the next coming years, this is why I think NFTs are still a little bit early. We're going to work our way together as a society to get there. I think crypto led the way. We are think about how long it's taken the world to understand and to believe in crypto. But we believe in the US dollar, and it's not backed by anything other than our own belief in a government. But it's belief at the end of the day. That is what is the US dollar, right? And so when we just moved it to something that was decentralized, all of a sudden everyone was like, I don't understand it. But we've been doing it for years, right? And so it's the same thing is happening with if cards are the dollars and then NFTs are crypto, it's going to take us 15 years to get there, baby steps. And so like the first thing, the reason I think, and one of the things we're trying to do with Alt is help people get there. You'll see us get into NFTs in the coming years. Most people don't actually remove their cards from the vault, right? And most of us don't even, like, we all are taking pictures on Instagram, and only when we sell the car do we actually go take it from the vault, right? But there's something still there because it's real and I can go and get it. And so I think the first logical step is us trading it and it being in the vault, but knowing that we can redeem it at any point in time. Next step is going to be redeemable NFTs, right? So again, you'll see alt get there, but basically you're trading NFTs on alt. But at any point in time, you can go redeem that NFT for the physical asset, and then there's just going to be NFTs. And so we're in this bridge period, right? And this is where I've made a career, with my other company. We are in a massive change in our world. We are moving from the physical world to the digital world, but it's not like it's just a flip of a switch, right? We're on the bridge, right? And so right now we need to help people across the bridge. So we're probably like a couple of steps upwards on the bridge. At some point we'll be at the peak of the bridge, and then we'll come back down, and then we'll all arrive at like NFTs. Why were we ever, why do we need physical assets? We're just not there yet. And you can tell that by the way, I always look at the correlation. When society is just already ready for NFTs, when something happens in the real world, a catalyst, which is why we all invest in cars, there's always a catalyst that we're waiting for. When the catalyst is rational in that market, the market is mature. Giannis wins the championship or an MVP, NFTs should go up. When it goes down, right, it just means that the market is too immature and there are other dynamics that are taking over than the main dynamic. But in cards, it's a little bit more rational right now.
It's funny because I was listening to Gary on Guy Raz on How I Built This. And if you guys haven't listened, it's one of the better episodes. But Gary also talked about how long things take, right? So like he got into the family business in 97, 98. And he was like, everyone's going to be buying wine online by 2000. Well, actually, I mean, we know how that turned out, right? The .com. There was a bit of a boom, a bust. But long term, if you start an e-commerce business over 10 years, it worked out. Similar patterns typically evolve with new technologies.com, NFTs. So that's definitely a great point. Unless we want to stay on NFTs, Cage, I know you love them. I'm curious your take, because this is a national show. Like, what was your take about now?
That bridge we're on? I'm jumping off of it, so I'm glad we're switching topics.
You just ran across it. I think for people out there who want to read a little bit more about this bridge concept, it's called Crossing the Chasm. There's actually a name for it, and there are early adopters and there are laggards. We are right now the early adopters have jumped on the NFT bandwagon. They generally make the most amount of money because they're willing to take the risk, and so I think we are on the early adopters bandwagon for NFTs. In 10 years, we can mark it August 6th, 2031. We're going to have it again, and we're going to be talking about how you guys were all right.
If Cage, you would have been on the other side of that. You would have been on the other side of the bridge if it wasn't for the Bro Nameth Bitcoin episode at the beginning of this year.
I couldn't spell Bitcoin.
Send a calendar invite, August 6th, 2031.
We'll send it. It's like a time capsule. Wow. Andrew will send it right now. He'll send you a StreamYard. We will be up to episode 6,243 at that point in time, because we're still going to be doing one every single day at that point in time.
Oh my God.
He will have a virtual assistant. By then he will have convinced me
that my dream.
He needs one. I will have a personal chef though. And they will be paid to just make bacon. Nothing else.
What's the point?
I need a personal chef. I don't have to make the bacon myself. That's obvious. Come on. Go ahead, ask your question.
What was your impression of National? And I'm curious, is this your first, second, third? What was your overall takeaway?
It was my third or fourth. Man, I feel like a year got skipped.
It did.
A third, because Chicago's even years. My first one was 2016. Maybe it was 2017. 2017 was the first one. I thought the energy was really great. I think that was probably like the first thing I know. It was a lot. There were a lot of people. And so I think that part I really enjoyed. The demographics were a little bit different, a lot younger, a lot more diversity in people, which is great. I think we want that in the hobby. A lot more companies, a lot more elevated companies, people bringing something. It wasn't the same names that you've been seeing. I remember 5 years ago, I'm walking around. It's mostly like just dealers just showing out their cards. There's a lot of people now actually bringing like applications, companies, websites, breakers, types of companies, digital grading, all these things that I had never even seen or heard before that I think over the last year are coming out. So a lot more innovation, which was really great to see. A lot more outside of the show, which is a really interesting thing. Everything used to be about the show. After the show, there's a lot of activities going on. if that makes sense. So
yeah, no, I didn't sleep. It was crazy. I mean, that was my favorite part of it. The trade nights, just hotel lobbies for the whole time. You know what's funny? People can walk through. I think I owe you an apology. People can walk through this big folks, like names in this. People who may have bought the most expensive Giannis card ever created, who may have bought the most expensive Panini card ever created, maybe mingling in the crowd. And I think you and I were at an event, and you look so unassuming. I don't even know if I said hello to you. I think you were at the collectible, event, and I'm like, that could be him. I'm not sure. I mean, and that's the fun part about it, right? It's not like, oh wow, Ken Golden was a different story. He had security. His security guard punched me in the face a couple of times. I was like, Ken, I want to pick, boom, get a little punch in the face. He didn't. It didn't actually happen.
I was
a joke.
Around. I was doing deals. I was just going through the lines. I was there starting Wednesday morning, trying to see what kind of cards and deals I can make. So I was, I'm very unassuming, but I hope
that's pretty cool. That's it, man.
Any notable pickups?
Yeah, that's what we want to hear. What'd you get?
A lot of notable pickups. Ooh, my favorite that I was a black gold Kobe Bryant 2008 or 2018 PSA 10.
Wow,
the best black gold version too.
His last year. So I was excited. It was for the fund. The fund also owns the Nebula 1 of 1 and the Black 1 of 1.
I gotta be honest, I don't get the market for high-end, 20th year Kobe's. I mean, it just goes along the lines of what you talked about in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He stopped playing in 2015.
Here's why. And again, Kobe is a really interesting one. I've analyzed the Kobe market. Kobe does not have rookie 1 of 1s. So his most expensive cards are never going to be his rookie cards, right? When you look at Prism, right? There's only a limit, 2013 to 2018, 5-6 years worth Prism, right? They wasn't a Nebula every single year. You're talking about less than 10 Kobe Prism 1 of 1s, where Prism is the main hobby staple right now, right? That is a crazy card. That is going to be an iconic card because of the brand in the modern era.
And he gets to tell the story. Remember, he's a storyteller. Part of what he has to do with his fund is tell the story about how that is Kobe's last Prism card. It'll be his last Prism 1 of 1 card. And that adds something to it. It's like the perfect serial number, right? If something's out of 149, 149 out of 149. But this is the last 1 of 1 that they're going to make for him, unless they, look, they might throw in another one, the last one while he was alive, last one late. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Prism, especially as a brand, they throw in, retired greats and that kind of stuff. I just don't know whether or not they even have the right to Kobe anymore after that. I don't know if they
exactly. So I'm big on Kobe. Kobe is just very different in terms of how he appears in sets.
It would be cool if Kobe had an exquisite rookie auto, like the way LeBron has.
Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. He's like, the fund would already own it. You'd never see it.
Yeah. If Kobe Bryant had a rookie logo man, oh my God. I mean, you're talking if exquisite LeBron logo men, if there was a card, I mean, they have it for Ultimate. They don't have that for exquisite. I think you're talking about a $50 million card.
Did you get a chance to meet Carvin? So we're going to interview him for the show next week, but really looking forward to meeting him, hearing his story, because he's Cage. Am I right about this? He's the creator of Exquisite
and the cup for hockey fans out there.
I have not met him. I mean, that is awesome. In a different world, I would have loved to design cards. I mean, maybe who knows what happens with the distribution of cards over the next 10 years, but that is a cool job. that is a really cool job. This is where Jersey should be.
You talked about a lot of businesses, a lot of content creators. The demo was different. We asked this to all the guests. Was there a business, a person, a content creator that left an impression that you're like, this person is going to be really successful in the hobby? I like how they work.
Besides Andrew, you can't say Andrew. We know Andrew's top of the list. Who was second?
That I met at the show from a company standpoint. I think there's a lot of content creators that actually did stuff outside. So there's a lot of documentaries coming out, and I was really impressed by them. I don't want to give out names because I don't want to ruin kind of what they're working on, but some of them are working on some really cool things.
Agreed. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about alt. Okay. Because Cage, I don't know how much you use it, but You're very curious to me as an entrepreneur, right? Because think about this whole conversation. Here you are running this business that I think is crushing it.
I mean, how do you respond, Leore? Thank you. I mean,
okay, well,
rookie guy. I've gotten it for years. Yeah.
They have an extension now where you could see all the best offers on eBay. They have market indices. They have this barcode scanner. They're adding functionality to the site day after day after day. And yet, Cage, what's the first 35 minutes we talked about Leore buying cards?
Yep.
It's like, how do you run the business side?
I mean, you said it better than I could. There's an amazing team at Alt. And the team is really the one who are innovating. They're the ones who are shipping features. They're handling the operations. I mean, without the team, there's no Alt.
That's simple.
I mean, it's honestly, we haven't gone too much into how I think about company building, but it really is the people. Like I'm one of those people that believes ideas are a dime a dozen, and it's just the people are the ones that execute. And all of us out here, when we are PCing or buying cards, what we're doing is we're curating a collection of cards, right? I've curated an amazing group of people. And I think that is what company building is. That's what your job is as a CEO, to really, you're building a team, right? Just like, it has to have the right chemistry, right? Think about, you have your super teams out there in the NBA that can't even win. It's not always about having the best of that. It's the right team and it's the right people. And so the team at Alt really clicks together. They are just really kind. That's one quality that I'm looking for, and also just hungry and smart. And so we're out here, we're trying to innovate. We all have a chip on our shoulder. We want to prove that we can build an amazing product. And we're great at collaborating with each other. Not a lot of people can experience that because you don't work at Alt, but we're really strong collaborators.
I'm curious. You're commissioner of National 2022. It's at AC, so that's going to be a different game in and of itself. But what do you do? What improvements would you have liked to have seen?
All right, I'm going to ask the different question because
sure.
Because I don't like that question, so I'm going to say
I don't like that exactly. I wouldn't question it. I believe so. You guys can tell with Alt, we are experiencing a rate of innovation that, Alt is trying to move it at an insane pace right now. The National, as its venue, we need to change the venue. And so I don't even think the National can hold the innovation that is about to have in the hobby. I think you're about to see a new type of an event, giving a little hint, that is going to be bigger, better, and it's going to change. And so these are the things, those are the questions. What is that new thing going to look like? What is it going to have? And that's what I think is going to be really exciting, is that we're trying to change things that the venue cannot hold all the change. They can't move as fast as we want. We got to do something completely different. So I'm excited about that. The things, what is it going to exist there? Better food. It's just going to be an awesome experience.
Can I get a soda for less than $6, please? That would be nice.
Listen, we as a community are all going to a place, right? We're all there for cards, but we're all there for community building too.
Yeah,
for sure.
And buying and selling cards is just one piece of the community. And so we are missing out on all these other interactions that can coexist while we're bringing people to the event. And so we're going to elevate it. There's going to be a lot more discussion. We're all trying to help each other out, right? How can we there was no time for talk. There was either time for trading or time for decompressing after the show and drinking. But where was the time? Let's talk about the hobby. How can we have a live Luca Nation where people can come in and listen, right? When I went to the main stage, I think it was a little bit underwhelming. I'm excited to see the content there. There are some really smart people in attendance. There's some really great collectors. How can we see the museum quality pieces? When we tried to bring in some of the amazing cards, we were not met with, oh my God, of course, bring it in. It was, and so we are going to be thinking and partnering. There's a lot of amazing people in this space on something new and big.
I think great. I think that was a great point too. Buying and selling cards is just one piece of what we do. And if that piece, just let's say 5-10 years ago was 50% of the hobby, I kind of feel like buying and selling cards is actually getting smaller and smaller. And there's so many other aspects of the hobby that people enjoy that you could come with. You don't even have to buy and sell and have a great time. And one of those is the show of the hobby, right? When you're you see it in business conferences and crypto conferences, its own panel in a really nice auditorium with a good moderator, a few people having conversation. It's presented the right way.
Yeah.
Just a quick rapid fire. Best
By the
restaurant.
way,
Best.
I think
Yeah.
the National has done a great job. So I take, I'm not trying to critique them. I just think we have so many new people. We got to almost take off what we've been doing over the last 10 years and start from scratch, because the hobby has changed, right?
Yeah,
It's
the
not
hobby
what it was
passed it
30
by.
years.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
passed it by.
and
It used to be
so
you
and
bought
so
from dealers. Now
yeah,
we're doing with each other. It's
yeah.
content sharing, it's information sharing. It's the trade night shouldn't have to be relegated to hotel lobbies at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And I think, and hopefully they realize that, like the National, they have a committee, they have a board, but who knows who's on the board there? I don't think it's the people who are now active in the space. And so they need to add that layer of diversity, and it needs to be a little bit more inclusive. And then the ideas will actually just come organically, but they're not getting the ideas, I think, from the right people right now.
Do the Warriors do the Warriors win over 50 games next season?
Yes. Easy.
Lakers.
Yes.
Lakers Nets. Is that your prediction for the finals?
Oh,
Who
no.
wins the finals?
Warriors Bucks.
That was my prediction. You're lying.
Wow,
What a
what a
guy.
great prediction.
Warriors Bucks.
And you know what my prediction was? Water is wet.
How are you saying that?
Really go out on a limb here with the Bucks. I mean, Bucks just won, so really that's a tough one there. The Warriors.
But no, but it is. So this is the interesting part. It is going on a limb because it's not a super team, and so everyone, if you look at the Vegas odds, that's not an obvious bet.
It's a limb. It's a very small limb.
What do you want
nobody,
me to say?
You're not saying it's like
versus the Suns.
Well, I mean, go on a limb. Yeah. Not the Suns. The Suns were just there. You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't be not even the Suns.
I don't. Oh
Leore, we did a show yesterday where I said,
"Go for it."
We did a show yesterday where I just said that Giannis is going to go back to back, and I don't know who it was, but they laughed in my face.
Yeah, they did. And it's
so
because he lost
it's
PJ
not
Tucker.
going out.
They can't go back without PJ Tucker. I'm throwing that out there. You need that glue. You need the glue that binds the team.
I think the Pelicans go farther than most people think.
Because of Devontae Graham, exactly.
So, Cage, if you go on
Devontae Graham on alt right now, no, I'm waiting for someone to snag it. RPA, PSA 10. It's all you.
That's mine. I'm gonna take it. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go buy it.
I would like to see the bull. Oh God, they're about to buy it right now. Yeah, click up 43%. Is that nuts? There we go.
I mean, Cage, you talked about it. That
was one of my plays last week. I said he's going to go somewhere. I heard Dallas. I heard the Pelicans. And, it doesn't matter where he goes. When he goes, the card goes up.
Yeah. I'm from Chicago. I don't love the moves that they're making right now. I know they're trying, but I just don't think that's they can make a deep playoff run with that team. So I'm a little bit upset. Who else can? I feel like I need to tell you something that's new because
listen, you're
obvious
fine.
picks are
the Warriors. Listen, the Warriors are tough. I mean, I think the Warriors. I mean, people are picking them to win the whole thing next year. It really depends on what they can get from Clay.
Yeah, you took the words right. I think if Clay can be healthy, that team is really unstoppable.
And they get Ben Simmons.
I really hope not. They don't need Ben Simmons, right? They're just complicating everything. I think that's a project in its own. I actually think the Warriors can fix his shot. Their staffing team obviously knows how to teach people to shoot. I think they're really big in data science. They don't need it. They just need a healthy Clay. They have a team. They have good team chemistry. They're built differently. They don't play basketball the way that everyone else does.
You mean they pass and run plays and yeah, I totally agree. All right, last two. Favorite steakhouse or favorite piece of steak that you had?
At the National.
At the National.
Don't give us Sparks or anything.
Oh my God. Do I have to answer that?
No, you can pass.
None. I'm gonna go with none. I'm from Chicago. There's only so many times you can go to Morton's. Nothing's wrong with it. Just in my lifetime, I've been there way more times than I wanted to.
As a Chicago native.
Chicago.
Okay, wait a second. We're going to change the question again. I heard you say, Leore, what is your favorite pancake house in Chicago?
Good. Let's hear it.
There we go. Right?
That's what you heard?
That's what I heard.
I'm just taking a different question. Edie's, I think it's pronounced Edie's Pancake House or Walker Brothers. Walker Brothers wins by a mile. I don't know. Did you guys go to a pancake house while you were in Chicago? No, you're going to steak restaurants. That's what you did wrong. Next time, I'll put the top 10 places you need to go in Chicago. How did they not list? How was there not a Nationals top 10 restaurants to visit?
It's a good point.
Pertoli's was one of them.
He says it different every time. What's a Pertoli?
Fertoli's was one of them. We arrived 1 minute late, and there were all of these Lollapalooza chicks just screaming and yelling.
He's talking about Portillo's, the Bertoli's, the Fratellis. It's the villains from the Goonies. I mean, he just changes it like every single time. It's a different name. And I got a picture of him. He missed it by 1 minute. He's sitting on the street. He's like, oh man, he's on the ground. You know, Lollapalooza's out. We can't even go to McDonald's because there's like 100 people online. It was a bad evening. The line for Al's outside was way too much. He wanted to just go home. But you're right though. So who's bigger in Chicago, you or Abe Froman?
I don't know who that is.
Oh my God! Abe Froman is the Sausage King of Chicago, and you don't even know him. That's from Ferris Bueller.
But he also doesn't know me, so it's probably
it's a fictional character. It was a pretend character in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which was filmed there with the parade and the whole deal. So it's a lot of fun. So was Blues Brothers, also a big Chicago thing. We probably don't know what that is either.
I know the Blues Brothers. I like that.
Good. There we go. Sweet Home Chicago.
Please rate Kanye's performance last night, 1 to 10.
I didn't watch it.
Me neither. So it's a 0. It's a 0. It's a 0.
I'm telling you, I feel like people. I just work. I just grind and I work all day long.
So he's not picking a steakhouse. He doesn't know who Abe Froman is, but he at least knows who the Blues Brothers are, which is good.
But you can ask me anything about cards and I know it.
Well, that's pretty much all that matters, right? So will your next purchase for the fund be basketball? Is that where we're staying, or are we branching out? Are we going to have, is it going to be modern? Is it going to be vintage?
So what kind of purchase? We buy cards on the weekly basis.
The one that people are going to say wow about.
I was the underbidder for the Mahomes card. I thought that was a really good purchase. So props to LJ Cards. I thought they did a phenomenal job. That was a great deal. I think it's going to be football because football season's going to come up, and I think some rare cards are going to come out. So I'm more thinking about from Logic. But if you're asking me what I want, it's NBA. I think NBA as a product is just so far ahead of NFL right now. And the demand for just NBA as a product is just their early days. I think they're doing an amazing job going into different continents right now. And so I'm excited about them increasing the demand of that product over the years. In soccer, to be quite honest, I think I'm really a big believer in women's soccer. I wish there were better parallels that I can go and get. Serena Williams cards. I'd love to get an awesome PSA 10 Serena Williams card.
How about F1? Can you name 3 F1 drivers?
I can, and I have Lewis Hamilton's best Topps Dynasty card. I have the only PSA 10 with the Puma. Full Puma. The fund does, sorry.
See this? Narrative. He's telling the story about why that's the best card. You see this?
It's a cool patch.
Telling all my secrets. Verstappen. We have a Verstappen 1/1, and we have a George Russell 1/1. So we went really hard on Verstappen. We thought he had the best value. I mean, Lewis Hamilton cards were just nuts. So Max Verstappen.
Do you guys only invest long term? Like, is it only like buy and hold for a few years? Or I'm asking because what if the Formula One guys fall out of flavor?
So it's mostly long term. Obviously, we hold for at least 1 year because the cap gains. And so we're not really trying to have short-term capital gains.
Right.
But we color up just like everybody else. We find arbitrage all the time because of our alt value. So we will buy up certain players that we think are undervalued. We try to fix certain hobby narratives that we think are wrong. So one of the early, as an example, many people don't know this, but in National Treasures, up till 2 years ago, the 99 was trading more than the silver and the gold versions, which are more rare. The less rare were trading more than the rare. That makes no sense, right? And so we're like, okay, well, we'll buy all the rare players, all the rare variations of all the star players until it corrects. And obviously it corrected itself very nicely. And we just sold them.
You just corrected the market yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's just making it more efficient. And so we've done that a couple of times. When I think in baseball, a really good one right now is the green prism for Bowman First. For some reason, people just don't value it correctly. So we helped correct the green Bowman in the market.
Can I ask something, Leore?
Yeah.
Is it really efficient if one big buyer can change the entire dynamic to make it efficient? Is that really the way the market should be operating?
One buyer cannot make it efficient. Just because you have to buy, every transaction is a buyer and a seller. So if you do 10 transactions, you're talking about 10 different people. So one player cannot. But
So
I think I was just buying. I don't think I changed it. I bought them all when they were undervalued. The market adjusted.
Okay, that's fair. Last question on the alt model, right? So you are accredited investors only, which means you have somebody, it's going to be an accredited investor. I mean, you can look it up what that
fund.
means. A fund for the fund.
For now.
For now, okay. So this is good. Luckily, we were able to ask questions and get some.
An event is coming. Fund is accredited for now. We got some good scoops.
I mean, listen, we are doing a lot of things very quickly. That's what we want. That's what we want our brand to be. We're running, right? We're going to be providing, like, a lot of people don't forget our mission to increase the transparency and liquidity of these things.
So that's the question, right?
And we have done a lot on transparency, and we're doing a lot of unique things on liquidity. And so in the next 90 days, you will see a lot more in both of those categories.
Cool. So that'll change it. But here's the other fractionals, the true fractionals that allow people to get in for $5, $10, $12. There has been, because of the way the market has gone, there's been a rash of buyouts in those worlds. Is that tougher for the investors in your world to do? Because you getting buyouts, or your assets are just
for our big cards?
Yeah, for your big cards.
It's not a buyout, it's just a sale. Yeah, we sell our big cards. We are even the ones buying out sometimes some of the fractional ones. We've sent a couple to fractional too. I think it's a new part of the community, and I personally think it adds more liquidity. It's great. It's a great idea, right? Okay.
Any advice for the fractionals?
For the companies?
Yeah. All of them as a whole.
I mean, I've given them a lot of advice. I know almost every single one of them. They're all, I think, trying really hard to innovate right now. When we IPO, this is probably the biggest thing, and they know it, and they're trying to fix it. Right now, when they buy a card and they IPO it, there's a lag, right? But the market moves in that lag. And therefore, it creates, when it IPOs, the price isn't always the right one. It could be too expensive or too cheap, which affects the person who is buying that. And so they need to be able to IPO things in a day. And that means, like, if we agree on a deal with a fractional company, they got to put it on the platform. The market moves too fast. I mean, imagine you sent to Devontae Graham, before this whole thing, and it still hadn't gone up there. You'd been super pissed. And so I think the speed to market has to increase a little bit.
So is there a way to circumvent SEC requirements with that?
There is. And I do think this is where Dibs is going to stand out. It is going the crypto route, the unregulated route.
And you're able to circumvent Reg A.
Yeah, you just fractionalize it. So you create an NFT of that asset, and then you fractionalize the NFT.
And people are then buying the NFT rather than the actual item.
And at any point in time, if someone buys out the NFT, they can go and then redeem the asset for the actual physical item. So there's ways around it. This is, again, we're in the early days of all of this. You will see alt get involved in this space, helping out some of these companies over the coming years. So we have a long roadmap ahead of us. I think a lot of people don't realize, like, we have a large team. All of it is almost software engineers. So we are cranking out features every single day. We are listening to all the feedback, good and bad. We love critical feedback. Tell us what we can do better. We actually listen and we move fast. And so come to us with all your ideas. We're trying to make things happen right now.
So, Leore, I love talking to you, and we're going to let you go. You're real generous with your time, but it's funny. One of the hobby questions that gets asked all the time of folks like you, and the hobby players, the market movers, is what inning are we in? And I'm going to answer it for you, because we don't ask that question to people because it's annoying as hell. But I got to tell you, after talking to you, I don't even think we started the game yet. I think we're in preseason. I think we're warming up. I think we're building up lineups. I think we're figuring out how the game is going to be played.
The game's changing.
And that is an interesting way of looking at it, because, from what you've given us here, we're all real early to the next phase, the next evolution of the industry, the hobby, whatever you want to call it. And that's pretty cool.
I mean, you said it, but I don't need to say anything. I'm just going to nod.
All right. Well, he's nodding for those of you just listening and not watching.
If you have a few more minutes, I enjoy these. And I just had a question come up, and So Cage and I were walking around the show, and we were looking. You could tell, there's something about going to a show that really gives you a pulse of the market that when we're behind our screens, we can't always figure it out. So, like, one thing we noticed was just about every dealer, and especially every dealer that had basketball, they all had Luka Silvers, okay, and a PSA 10. And there's 2,400. There's actually less. I think it's 2,000. I looked it up. LeBron Topps Chrome, there's about the same amount in PSA 10s of the 2003 card. But you would go and you wouldn't see as much of that card. So we always look at supply, right? But like in your data, do you look at like active supply versus passive supply?
What do you mean by passive supply?
Sort of like what's available out there. Like, I don't know how you quantify it, but like, all right, LeBron Chromes, there's 2,000 of them, but how many of them are actually out there for somebody to be able to buy?
If 10 whales own half of it, for example.
Interesting. I actually look at the flip side. I look at the demand, which I think actually gets to the exact same thing. So the answer is yes. We talked about this last time, but to remind you guys, one of the things that I always challenge people with, they're like, how is Luka prices more than Michael Jordan prices? The demand for Luka is bigger than we do focus too much on the supply side sometimes and not about the demand. And that's exactly to your point. Like there's not a lot out there. The demand is higher.
Is Luka still a good buy? Like to me, Luka is this interesting phenomenon. Like if I was looking at stocks, I'd be like, this guy's unbelievable, but his cards don't even really move. And he just put up 48 points at the Olympics, a triple-double with 18 assists. Like he's insane. Like what do you think about Luka cards in the next year or two?
He's a buy.
He's a buy. Just because of the demand?
So I'm just gonna like spitball how my brain works. The Luka market is big enough that it has to be somewhat rational, right? I think people are excited about Luka, but I think Luka is the future of our league. I think when he wins, I don't think he has like built in an MVP and 2 championships. I think people are really excited about him because of his international presence. And so his demand base is just bigger than an average NBA player coming out of the draft. And so his floor was a little higher because of that. And so everyone is thinking about, like people just think he's that good. No, I think there's just a greater demand base. So if he still does well, the ceiling is a lot higher. He's great. He's proven himself, right?
He's going into his 8th season as a professional too, which is kind of crazy when you compare to like guys coming out of college. So I said Giannis would be the guy that has the most to gain in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And he
has the mostest.
The most to gain.
Okay.
Do re mi fa sol. I need to practice. His cards have actually come down a little bit. What do you project for Giannis? What do you think about his card market?
I'm also a buy on Giannis.
Zion?
I'm a buy on Zion.
Ja? Trey?
That's a no.
Like we're playing the pump or dump game.
No.
Is this the new segment? Buy or sell? I'm a sell. I feel like I'm on, what is that ESPN thing? Like I'm a sell on Ja.
That's it.
And what about Trey?
He's an interesting one. I can't make up my mind on him, to be quite honest.
Which, by the way, is everybody's thing. But then I think what's going to happen is everyone's going to make up their mind that he's a buy, and then the price is going to fly.
He's in this category of Devin Booker, Tatum, Mitchell, and him. Like, who's the next Kobe? I feel like they're all vying for a similar type of like persona, and I just can't tell who's the winner yet. There's just not enough data. I actually haven't seen him. The rules I think are going to actually have a negative impact on him.
All right, a few more. Durant.
All right, it's like, are we writing this down? I'm a buy on Durant. I'm a sell on Harden, if that was the next one.
He's fat and out of shape, always.
That's why I buy him.
Well, he is. He really is. Curry, always a buy.
Always a buy.
And LeBron.
I'm a neutral on LeBron right now. I always talk about how cards are both the on the court and off the court. On the court, LeBron is a buy. Off the court right now, his whole super team narrative, and it's hurting him more than helping him.
And that movie sucked. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
I got 25 minutes in, and then I was like, yeah.
Andrew has famously now said that LeBron is not in his top 5 NBA players of all time.
Yeah, and apparently, like that's like
the LeBron brand or LeBron player.
Player.
if in my top 5,
Okay,
not
He put
Like,
Larry. He
clear
put Larry
accolade,
Bird. He put Larry
as much
Bird
as
ahead
I
of him.
don't love the guy, I don't hate him, but the guy has been in the last decade in half the finals, more than half the finals.
Yeah, coming out of the East, you could have been in half the finals. What else you got, Andrew?
that's it. I don't know why Larry Bird being an all-time great is hilarious. The guy was a machine.
He's awesome. He's not better than LeBron. Not a better player than LeBron. I mean, I love Bird. He's great, but not a better player than LeBron. All right, but
You guys give me some. Who's the rookie that I should be paying attention to?
Tyrese Maxey. I think they're done with Ben Simmons, and Maxey's a really, really, really hard worker, and he's
Black Prism. We bought it.
of Maxey.
Tyrese
Nice.
Maxey, Black Prism.
I think if I'm I said this stat to Cage the other day. Like, if you look at who's been the MVP in the last 20, 30 years, it's never a shooting guard except for Kobe Bryant and Jordan. It's either bigs like Giannis and guys that control the paint and dominate, or it's passing, shooting. It's shoot first point guards.
So I like personality. I like character also, and that's why I liked Graham and why I started buying him. You know, he played 4 years of college. You know, he's always talking about his mom, tweeting, you name it, the whole deal. Maxey, I was not a buy until today, and by the time this airs, it's already be known. But there's I would not call my son the prince of the hobby. But Ken Golden did that about his son. I mean, I guess, matter of factly, he's calling himself the king of the hobby. All right, we'll let that slide, Ken, but whatever. But so today, I mean, by the time this airs, it will already have happened. But Ken Golden's son, their birthday, their opening stuff, you name it, and
Tyrese
Maxey is going to rip cards with Paul Golden. They're going to open up cards. That's a cool thing. That's a cool thing for a guy to do. I mean, I don't know, what the fee was, or if there was one, or whatever. He's a Philly fan, you name it. That's a cool thing. That little thing, Leore, just to put a bow on it. You talked about on court and off court, right? And then how LeBron's off court brand is sort of hurting his on court, value. It could work the other way too. Like something like that, especially to people in the hobby who are going to follow that and watch it. Like I was on the fence on Maxey. I go and buy some Maxey now because that's a cool thing. That means, I can invest in him. He's probably not going to, have a DWI. I read into these things. I think it's a cool thing that he's doing.
When I say off the court, I meant like the super narrative.
I know what you meant.
The super team. I actually think LeBron is doing a lot for the world. So I think that is a positive.
Making bad movies.
The super team, man. How many... The guy has such a caliber. Like, why does he need the all-star cast associate? And maybe it's just because he likes community and he wants to play with his friends and he's like, he doesn't care about. But something about that. I mean, that team is now stacked with old players.
Nothing wrong with old men, right? We could still hang.
It didn't work when the Lakers had better players and younger, and they brought in Karl Malone and Gary Payton, and it somehow still didn't work. And this is a way worse fit because LeBron and Westbrook, they're just going to clog the lane. It's going to be chaos. I can't wait.
One player to make the whole thing work.
A shooter.
They have to find Darko Milicic and bring him back so that the top 3 picks of the 03 draft can all play together. That's what they need. Put him on the bench.
And Wade. They got to bring Wade.
They could bring Wade too. Maybe Bosh. They could do a whole draft.
If they brought Wade, I'd be a Lakers fan.
Why do you think Wade doesn't get enough hobby love?
I'm a big buy on Wade.
Tim Grover famously said that on that Heat team that Wade was actually the true alpha and LeBron was kind of being groomed to be the alpha. Tim Grover said that, Cage. So not me. Please don't make me a double.
We've talked about that. We talked about that. And I was a much bigger fan of Kermit and Ralph. I never liked that Grover guy. I never even listened to what he was saying.
Last question, I promise you. What are the beat writers saying about James Wine? Why do I keep thinking Jameis Winston? I don't know.
James Wiseman.
I think they're saying that Jameis Winston is going to be a MVP star quarterback. No, I have no idea what they're saying about James Wiseman. I have not read anything.
You're from the Bay. Maybe that's the problem.
But he's a Chicago fan.
I don't have time to read. I don't have time to do anything other than work. And so
I love it.
The way I divide my time into 2 categories: working and being on Luca Nation with you guys.
Boom. And we'll close it with that. Look at this guy. Thank you, Leore, for your time. This was awesome.